Chapter 23, April 19th, Damascus, Virginia. Miles hiked today, 12. Total miles hiked on the Appalachian Trail, 454. Weather, clear. The next morning, we were quiet and tense with each other. We're going to walk hard today, Mom said. We're going to move. We were hiking along a ridgeline in woods. Vivi was up ahead, out of sight. Mom and I were close together. It was an ordinary day. There are fewer of us now. Have you noticed? Mom said out of nowhere. Sure, I said, thinking she meant Springer. She sighed. Through hikers. There aren't so many now. Why not? We've walked over 400 miles. Lots of people don't make it this far. They've dropped out. I thought about that as we started to descend. Nobody could blame Trailhead, say, for stopping, but I didn't know about the rest. If Mom could give me the chance, I'd be glad to keep going. Think it's laziness? I asked. We caught up with Vivi, who had stopped by a spring and was filtering water. Mom splashed a tiny bit of water onto her hand and mopped her face with it. In the heat, we didn't waste water. Sources were few and far between, and some that were marked on our maps had dried up. Laziness? She asked. I nodded. I don't think that's the right word, she said. Think of it this way, said Vivi. If you've made a mistake, it's smarter to keep doing the wrong thing. Is it smarter to keep doing the wrong thing or stop and do something different? Mom asked me, why did you want to hike the Appalachian Trail? Me? Yes, you. It's long, I said. Vivi snorted. Mom waited. I wanted to get away from everything, I said, but I wanted something to do. I wanted to be able to walk, and I wanted to be far away from people, but not too far so I could get food and everything. And I like the mountains. Mom took a sip of Vivi's filtered water. That's a pretty good answer, she said after a pause. You were wrong, of course, to run away. No matter what, you shouldn't have done that. I thought you'd never let me. I thought you wouldn't. Well, you were wrong there too, because at least your reasons for going were good. Though even a person who had a good reason might stop early. Maybe. The world's not black and white, she said. What were your reasons? I asked. She took another sip of water and looked away. I answered, I said, my voice rising. You should too. It's not fair. The first time I hiked the trail, Mom said, interrupting me, it was because I didn't know what else to do. Vivi nodded as though she understood. I didn't. My parents had died, Mom said, and I was still adjusting to that. I graduated from college, and I didn't know what I was supposed to do next. I read a magazine article about the Appalachian Trail, and I just about hightailed it out here. It was early spring. I had graduated early, winter term, and I was lonely and scared. That hike was a lot different from this one. I made friends at the shelters every night. I went into town with big groups of people. I spent 4 days at Damascus during trail days, having a big party, and I was falling in love with your father. Mom smiled and shook her head. Well, it was a lot more of a social thing for me then. That's all I'm saying. The trail was the same, but I was different. I needed to figure out who I was. Did you? I asked. Partially. Why are you hiking now? To be with you. I must have made a face because she put her hand and touched my arm. I figured you might have a good reason, she said softly. That was good enough for me. The night it got hotter, not cooler. We lay on top of our sleeping bags, alone in the shelter. I wish we had made better time. I wanted to catch up with Beagle. On Wednesday, we reached Damascus. I was pretty eager to see it, and Vivi said she was too. We were going to take a 0 day, do laundry, and get supplies. We hit an asphalt road and could walk three abreast. Mom said, they call this the friendliest town on the trail. Is this where you were married? I asked. Why would you think that? I thought that's what you said. No, Mom said. That was Harper's Ferry, another important trail town. John Brown, cut in Vivi, started the Civil War? Really? I said. I thought it was just famous because of the trail. Aren't you supposed to be homeschooling? Vivi teased me. If Mom lets us keep going, I'll put an algebra book in my pack and do 50 problems every night, I promised. I looked at Mom. But did you get married while you were through hiking? She shot me a look. Of course. So you'd known Dad for, she sighed, a little over 2 months. Not long enough. But there you are. Was it in a church? Justice of the peace, Mom said. The courthouse. That doesn't sound very romantic, I said. Oh, I don't know. She began to smile. I bought a new white t-shirt to wear for the ceremony. Actually, 3 white t-shirts. They came in a 3-pack. And some new socks and new underwear. And I carried a bouquet of wildflowers that Juniper, she was a through hiker with us, picked from the side of the trail. Juniper and Wildcat, he was the best man, tied empty tins to our backpacks as a sign that said, just married. Tin cans? I wrinkled my nose. You know, like they hang on the back of cars when someone gets married. Danny, they hang tin cans off the back bumpers of the car that a couple drives away in. It was the first I'd heard of it. What happened to Juniper and Wildcat, I asked. Juniper? I don't know. She started out in Colorado after the trail. She was going to run an outfitters or a hiking service or something, be a ski instructor in the wintertime. I heard from her for a few years afterward. Wildcat twisted his knee in the whites and left the trail. We didn't hear from him again. Like Trailhead, I said? Yep, bad hiker injury. That was back before email, remember? You had to write to people or call them. It was harder to keep in touch. I knew the whites meant the White Mountains in New Hampshire. You hike above tree line there, where the trail's nothing but rocks. Are the whites hard? Mom shrugged. Sure, but they're also 1,100 miles away. We don't need to worry about them. Where should we stay tonight? What looks good? A nice bed and breakfast with a good dining room, suggested Vivi. A hostel, I said. Maybe a happy compromise, said Mom. Up ahead, I saw someone on the boardwalk. Someone tall, thin, and familiar. Beagle! I shouted and ran.